Madam Deputy Speaker, I am delighted to speak in this debate today on the claim of right for Scotland, asserting as it does the sovereignty of the Scottish people, declaring the right of the Scottish people to determine the form of government that best suits their needs. And this is indeed a timely debate. I know some people in the Chamber have questioned why we are debating this. This debate could not be more timely, because we need to do all we can to ensure the wishes of the people of Scotland are respected. 20 years into devolution, the Scottish Parliament's powers are under threat, with a power grab by the party which fought tooth and nail against the very establishment of that Parliament and has never fully got behind it or truly believed in it. I'm not going to talk tonight, Madam Deputy Speaker, about independence, because the Tories and the Labour Party have talked about nothing else, and they accuse us of being obsessed. And I would remind them, when they talk about independence, as they incessantly do, that in 2016 the SNP government have a mandate to hold a referendum given the material change in circumstances. So perhaps, if they're so concerned about the will of the people, they should reflect on that. We had a referendum in Scotland on EU membership, for which there is no evidence that the people of Scotland wanted. We in Scotland voted to remain in the EU by a very convincing majority, and now we are being removed against our will from a family of nations of which we wish to remain part. Now, we were told tonight, Madam Deputy Speaker, by the benches opposite, that what we really should be doing is waiting to see how Brexit unfolds. Well, let's look at how Brexit is unfolding. The Chancellor disagrees with the Foreign Secretary. The Foreign Secretary disagrees with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister disagrees with the Secretary of State for the Environment. The Secretary of State for International Trade has his head stuck firmly in the sand and says it's all going well, and there's nothing to see here, so just move along. And the Secretary of State for exiting the European Union doesn't seem to know how the final deal on Brexit will be. And this is even before we get to this week's antics in which the honourable gentleman opposite was involved. If anyone thinks that we should wait to see how Brexit is unfolding, I think we should buy some popcorn, if it were not so serious. We've heard the Secretary of State for Scotland tonight unable, or perhaps unwilling, to explain why the claim of right is now to be supported by the Tories but could not be supported in 2012. With the passing of the EU Withdrawal Bill in the teeth of opposition from the democratically elected Scottish Parliament, a withholding of consent for that bill from every political party save the out-of-touch Tories, the contempt for Scotland, for her people and for her democratic institutions is as clear as it can be. So let's talk about the claim of right. The consent for Clause 15 of the Withdrawal Bill in Holyrood was withheld by a huge majority of 93 votes to 30. And as a consequence, as we know, Madam Deputy Speaker, it should not have passed through this House with that clause intact. In the event, it did remain intact, with a mere 19 minutes of debate time allocated, with not one Scottish MP able or permitted to speak. And then you ask tonight, Madam Deputy Speaker, they ask tonight why we are debating the claim of right. They should be ashamed of themselves. When you ignore the entire concept of consent, when you ride roughshod over democratic institutions elected by the people of Scotland, and remember, the Tories have not won an election in Scotland for 55 years. When you ride roughshod over the Scottish people and their will, you do so at your peril. We have heard tonight, Madam Deputy Speaker, about the affection, the esteem in which the Scottish Parliament is held. Westminster enjoys no such reputation in Scotland. And we have repeatedly heard the powers being clawed back by this government. We've repeatedly heard them being diminished. The members opposite know exactly how important these powers are. Agriculture, fisheries, food labelling, public procurement, and I remind the members opposite, the public are watching. Public procurement.
You've allowed it to happen.
Public procurement, Madam Deputy Speaker, could constitute an attack on our public services, and I have listened to MPs in the Tory ranks rubbishing these concerns. Well, your constituents will have something to say about that. I know it's very inconvenient, Madam Deputy Speaker, for those who oppose the very concept of devolution, who want to deny the very nationhood of Scotland. And they wish us pesky Scots would stop using our voices to decry the injustices and acts of contempt being perpetrated on Scotland. But we will not go quietly. Tonight, Madam Deputy Speaker, we reassert the claim of right for Scotland without apology, despite all the blistering attacks from the benches opposite. Scotland is watching, and I say to the members opposite, you are swimming against the tide of history, and you will soon find yourself engulfed in the waves.
Martin Whitford.
I'm grateful, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's a great pleasure to discuss